Hello there. We're getting ready to take off again. We're going to a place that I've been to many times. Used to work up there. We're going to meet Krista and Curtis and go for a little, we're going to call the nostalgia tour. And we're going to a place where I used to work. Spent most of my career there, and the buildings are all torn down. It's used to be a ranger station, and in their infinite wisdom, the Plumas National Forest decided to close the place down and knock all the buildings down. So there's not a whole lot left, but it's a place we're going to go back. Karen and her family used to live there, and so we're going to take Krista and Curtis there and show them around, and probably go up to Black Mountain, do a few other things. So hang in there. And away we go. We've already had one little mishap. Ran over the step.
Working on two.
Yeah, ran over Karen's step. So I have to buy a new one when we get home. It's a cute little step too. Darndest cutest little step you ever saw. So we're on our way to the old Milford district. We've been out there before. We've got some other videos on that. We're going to some spots that we've been to before. We've been to all these places, but we're taking Krista and Curtis this time. And we're gonna stay there for a few days. Beautiful day today, beautiful day tomorrow. Thursday, maybe some changes. I don't know. They're talking about possibility of rain by Friday, which is fine. We're coming home on Friday, so we'll see how it goes. We are totally outfitted for rain, so that's not a problem for us. Krista and Curtis, on the other hand, are sleeping in a tent, so we don't know about that. So we'll see how it goes. And it's a good place to camp. I was just looking for a place where I can get some sun for the solar panels. Probably over here. Looks like it's going to be hit and miss as far as sun goes. Campfire ban going on right now, so you can't have any campfires, which is no big deal. We knew that was going to be the case. So, I don't know. Let's see what we got going here. So Krista and Curtis got here, and they set up the tent over there. We've kind of got this area kind of cordoned off. We're going to take a drive down to the ranger, where the old ranger station used to be, in a little bit. When we came back over here, we met them at the top of the grade. When we came back over here, there was somebody at the road coming in here, and they were sitting there trying to decide whether they wanted to drive down. Excuse me. They were trying to decide whether they wanted to drive down here to camp. We just went right on by them and came on down here, so they ended up leaving, which is a good thing, because you know, as much as this is a big area, it really be nice not to have anybody here, anybody but us. Sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Not very sociable. Boy, this is pretty sad. This used to be the most pretty ranger station. People would come here and visit. This used to be a ranger station. So you used to say Lothman Ranger Station. And we changed it to Lothman Work Center after they closed the ranger station down. And then the fire crew stayed here for years till I retired. Then after I retired, they moved them down to Doyle. But there used to be buildings all through here. We're going to walk through it. And it's just sad to see it like this.
And you know what was right here?
The engine bay used to be down there. The main office used to be right over here. Used to be the main office. There was a building here, there was a building here, and there was another building up on the hill. That was the ranger's old building. The ranger used to live in that building up there. There used to be a building right here, obviously on this slab. This is where the engine bay was. This, we parked our fire engines in here. And then down there was another building. I think they called it a Butler building or something down there below, and that was a silviculture building with all their stuff in it. Over here there was these buildings that were along in here. There was a real long building along in here. I know I may still have some pictures of this place. And that was built back in the 30s. That thing over there, we'll get over there, but there's this was historical, and they should have never knocked that down, but such is life. We used to have, might have some, I don't see any concrete. With some of the concrete we poured over here, we put our initials in. This building that used to be on the back side of this is a loading dock. That we call this the privy. This used to be, our fire office was in here. And this all used to be a building right here. And this building here was probably built back in the 30s. Along with this building that was over there on that side, there was that was probably built back in the 30s too. So this is pretty sad. Okay, this is where the old barracks used to be. I think I probably have some initials in the concrete over here. Yeah, it's all covered up in needles now. We poured this concrete. Yeah, there was a barracks here. That was a pretty nice barracks. We used to have these fire boxes with fire hose in there for fires around the station. There was trailer pads. Here was a trailer pad right here. Karen, back in the day when she lived here, Karen and her husband Ken lived here. They lived in the trailer pad right there on the other side of where they are. And Krista, when she was a kid, this is where she lived. This is where their trailer was back here. There's a trailer pad there. That was theirs. Then there was another trailer pad right here. I know it's probably not going to be too interesting for anybody that's watching this that didn't live through this or ever or knew about this place, but kind of a trip down memory lane for me. So we're up on the hill here above this. We just walked down and around the loop. Buildings are all out in here. This was a ranger's house over here on this side. There's a house that the ranger used to live in when I first started, and then other people lived in there from time to time. So really a shame to see it in the condition it's in.
Chris said dry them out and put them in keys.
Here's the Loftman campground. They actually charge for this place. For years they didn't charge. It says $10 daily fee. Anyway, this used to be free. They used to charge years ago, and then they made it free, and then now they're charging again. We stopped here because there's rose hips, and these are huge. These rose hips are some of the biggest rose hips I've seen. Pretty big. If you want to make a tea out of them, they're great. They're high in vitamin C. It's a pretty little campground. It's a shame that they're charging money for it. It really is. Like I say, it was free for years. But it's a pretty place. If you were traveling through, like coming up 395, it's not very far off the highway, so it gets you up here where you could spend the night and then move on the next day. Pretty good for that. There's not a lot of spots where you can put a tent, but the parking spots are perfect for like trailers and things like that. So it works pretty good for that. We'll go down here and check out this bathroom. My crew put that in. Now here's an interesting thing. Some mushrooms. Now these, I don't know what they are. I'm definitely not going to be eating any of them. They're yellow stainers. Scratch them and see if they stain yellow. Don't see anything. I don't know what kind they are. I would not eat them, but they very well could be edible. They do look like yellow stainers. Yeah. The outhouse is in pretty good shape still. We put this in probably back in 2000 or so. So that's been here for over 20 years. It's in pretty good shape. It does have a high-tech locking system. These are, I don't know what they're doing nowadays with this stuff, but these were called SSTs. And their SST stood for sweet smelling toilet. And what it is you orient this mast to the south, which this one is. And the sun hits it, heats up the outside of the tube, which draws air up through it, which pulls air down from inside, and that's what keeps the flow going. So all the bad smells are up on top, and so that's why it's called a sweet smelling toilet. So anyway, you'll see this design on a lot of toilets nowadays. They have probably newer ones than this, but we dug this hole with our backhoe. We had a little backhoe on the back of a New Holland. Those mushrooms are all over the place. So that's Black Mountain Lookout. Spent a lot of hours up here painting and maintaining this thing. And as all lookouts, it has a nice view of this area. Highway 395 runs right down that way. That's Honey Lake out there. Susanville is way at the head of that valley. So it's a pretty good view.
There's